Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School. Have you ever looked at someone who's made it big and thought, what's their secret? What's that one thing that sets them apart from the millions of people who simply fade away into obscurity? The truth is there is, but it's not a secret reserved for a select few. It's a rule, a principle that can change everything about the way you live. It's called the 1% rule. And when you fully understand it, it becomes the difference between being unstoppable or being forgotten. Now, before you dismiss it as just another catchy phrase or a motivational gimmick, I need you to hear me out. This isn't fluff. This isn't about dreaming big and hoping for the best. This is about taking one small, deliberate step every single day toward your goal, no matter how insignificant it may seem at the time. It's about the commitment to improvement, the relentless pursuit of progress, no matter how small or subtle. It's about doing more today than you did yesterday, even if it's just 1%. At first, it sounds almost trivial, doesn't it? Just 1%. How can 1% change your life? But let me tell you, this tiny shift in thinking is exactly what will propel you from mediocrity to greatness. Because here's the thing about life. We tend to think that success is about giant leaps, sudden breakthroughs, those eureka moments that make us feel like we've hit the jackpot. But the truth is, real success is built in the quiet, unnoticed moments, the moments when you choose to be 1% better than the day before. It's easy to overlook. You might not even see it happening, but day by day, those small improvements build upon each other, layer by layer, until something big starts to take shape. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the only difference between you and the person who's now living the life you've always wanted is that they took those small steps consistently while you hesitated. You see, the 1% rule isn't just about hard work or talent. It's about consistency. It's about making the choice every single day to keep pushing forward, even when you don't see instant results. It's about realizing that success doesn't come in one giant leap. It comes from a series of small steps, often unnoticed by others, but deeply impactful to your future self. So, what does this really mean? It means that every day you have the opportunity to be 1% better. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to become an expert today. You just need to be a little better than you were yesterday. And as time goes by, you'll notice that you're no longer the person who was stuck in the shadows, struggling to make a mark. You'll be thriving, you'll be growing, and you'll be unstoppable. But here's the catch. If you don't embrace this mindset, if you don't start putting in those 1% efforts, you'll be just another face in the crowd. Forgotten, unnoticed, fading into the background. There's no middle ground in this. You can't dip your toes in and expect results. You either take the plunge and commit to growth, or you remain stagnant. It's that simple. But don't let that scare you. Let it excite you. Because the beauty of the 1% rule is that you don't have to make a giant leap. You just have to take consistent small steps. And suddenly, when you least expect it, you'll look up and realize you've come further than you ever thought possible. And remember, the 1% rule is not about perfection. It's not about being flawless. It's about the constant evolution, the pursuit of a better version of yourself every day. Even on the days you feel exhausted or discouraged, even when you don't see immediate rewards, you show up, you put in the work, and you get better. Every single day. But here's the kicker. No one's going to do this for you. No one's going to show up and make those changes for you. It's on you. It's your choice. You either take ownership of your life and commit to the process, or you risk fading into the background, forgotten by the world. There's no space for apathy here. The world moves fast, and if you're not keeping up, you'll be left behind. So let's not waste time with excuses. Today is the day you begin. Today is the day you commit to being 1% better. It might not seem like much, but trust me, In a few months or even a few years, you'll look back and realize that those small steps created a ripple effect that changed your life forever. And that's how the unstoppable are made. Let's take a step back. Imagine it's years ago when you were a young, ambitious athlete. Every fiber of your being was driven by a desire to make it big. You had the hunger, the dream, but you didn't have the connections or the resources to make it easy. Life didn't offer you shortcuts. It felt like you were always a few steps behind everyone else, watching others rise while you were stuck, trying to figure out how to break through. Every day felt like a mountain that you had to climb, and yet you couldn't see the top. It was discouraging. You were trying to figure out where the breakthrough would come from, and all you could see were dead ends. But then one morning, everything shifted. You woke up, and for the first time, you felt like something inside you clicked. It wasn't a big, dramatic realization, but something deep within said, I'm not where I want to be, but I can be 1% better today. It was a quiet thought, almost unnoticeable at first, but in that moment, it sparked something in you. You realized that every action, no matter how small, was a chance to improve. Every decision, every step forward, no matter how small it seemed in the moment, was moving you closer to where you wanted to go. Think about it. Up until that point, you had been so focused on the destination, the end goal. You were obsessed with the finish line, with getting there, but now that obsession started to fade. What mattered wasn't just where you were going. It was how you were getting there. Every decision to push yourself a little harder, every choice to show up even when it felt easier to quit, started to compound. The 1% became your guiding principle. It wasn't a magic trick. It was just the simple act of showing up again and again and doing your best to be a little bit better each time. It wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. You didn't have the luxury of waiting for everything to align perfectly. You didn't have time to wait for the perfect moment to start. All you had was the now. You didn't need a sudden breakthrough. What you needed was a mindset shift. The idea of 1% didn't just become a strategy. It became the driving force that powered you through the grind. It was a quiet revolution within your mind, reminding you every day that progress isn't always loud. It's not always visible in an instant, but over time, it adds up to something monumental. Now, you weren't just working hard in the gym or practicing tirelessly on the field. You were learning from your mistakes, constantly adapting, finding new ways to improve. The idea of getting better didn't stop at physical improvements. It expanded into your mental game, into your mindset. The 1% rule wasn't just about becoming physically stronger. It was about becoming more resilient, more focused, more determined. It was about harnessing the power of consistency. You began to embrace the journey instead of chasing the destination. It was a profound shift. No longer did you fixate on the end goal and let the pressure of it overwhelm you. Instead, you turned your attention to the process, the small, daily choices that moved you toward that goal, step by step. The 1% wasn't just a goal. It was a lifestyle, a rhythm you had to fall into. It's about understanding that greatness doesn't come overnight, and that's okay. It comes when you do the work, day in and day out. The results didn't come immediately, but what you didn't see at first was the momentum you were building. It was as if you were planting tiny seeds, watering them every day with the 1% rule, and even though you couldn't see them growing, beneath the surface, something powerful was happening. You were changing, not in huge, dramatic leaps, but in steady, continuous improvements. Every drop of sweat, every hour you spent learning or practicing built upon the last. And soon enough, you'd look back and realize that all of a sudden, you were closer than you thought. In the past, you had focused on getting to the top, but now you were focused on the climb. You embraced each part of the journey, every hard decision, every late night, every early morning. You didn't let setbacks break your spirit. You used them as fuel to keep going, to be better than you were yesterday. You stopped looking at the distance between you and your goal and started to notice how much you had grown, how much stronger you were than before. And that in itself was a form of success. It wasn't easy, but it became addicting. The feeling of constant progress, no matter how small. You started to see every little improvement as a victory. Each time you showed up, each time you made the choice to be 1% better, it was a triumph. There was no one else to compare yourself to anymore, because you were your own benchmark. The real competition wasn't against others. It was against the person you were yesterday. And this, right here, is where your journey truly began to take shape. You found the spark, the motivation to push forward, even when the path seemed unclear. The moment you stopped focusing on the final destination and started focusing on each step, that's when everything changed. You were no longer stuck, no longer feeling lost. You had a purpose, and that purpose was driven by the 1% rule. Every decision to improve, to grow, was a victory, and before you knew it, you were on your way to becoming the unstoppable force you had always dreamed of. You've had your moments of inspiration, your days of motivation, where everything feels possible. You've experienced the excitement of that spark, the realization that you can do this, that you can be 1% better every day. But now comes the hardest part of the journey, the part that separates those who make it from those who fall off, the part where the real battle begins. Let's be real for a second. It's not going to be easy. The 1% rule doesn't guarantee instant results. There is no magic pill. There is no fairy tale ending where everything falls into place without effort. The truth is, the path to greatness is paved with long hours, constant struggle, and often moments where you'll feel like you're stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels without making progress. And that's okay. In fact, that's exactly where the real work starts. The grind, the discomfort, the moments of doubt. Those are the things that will define your journey. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think they can just skate by without facing the grind. They want overnight success, the quick wins, the shortcuts. But success doesn't work that way. It's never about the quick fix. It's about showing up day after day, even when you don't see immediate results. It's about taking each small step, even when you feel like nothing's changing. And most importantly, it's about embracing the struggle rather than running from it. There will be days when you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You might work tirelessly, pour all your energy into something, and still, the progress feels so small, so insignificant. But that's when the real test happens. The question is, are you going to keep pushing through, or are you going to quit? Think about the people who laughed at you, the ones who doubted your dreams and called you crazy. You'll encounter those people, the ones who don't understand the grind. The ones who will tell you, you're wasting your time. Why don't you just settle down? They'll try to tear you down because they don't understand your vision. And that's the moment when you face your toughest choice. Will you let their negativity drag you down? Or will you double down on your own belief and keep going? I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of people who gave up just when they were about to break through. They gave up because the road was too tough, the work was too hard, the results didn't come fast enough. But here's the thing. No one ever became successful by quitting when things got tough. The greats, the ones we all look up to, were the ones who kept going no matter what. They embraced the grind. They understood that every setback, every failure, was a stepping stone on the path to their dreams. Thomas Edison once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration." This is the heart of the 1% rule. It's about showing up day after day and putting in the work no matter how much effort it takes. It's about sweating through the hard times, continuing even when you don't feel like it, and believing that every single ounce of effort is building the person you need to become to achieve greatness. You're going to feel the weight of it, the exhaustion, the frustration. The times when it feels like you've given everything and still have nothing to show for it. But I promise you this, it's all part of the process. You may not see it now, but every moment of struggle is laying the foundation for the person you're becoming, the person capable of achieving greatness. And when you look back on this time, on the days when it felt like nothing was happening, when you felt like you were just spinning your wheels, you'll see it all for what it was. The struggle was never in vain. It was building you. It was preparing you for the success that was waiting on the other side. And when you finally reach that summit, you'll realize that all the sweat, all the tears, all the hard times weren't setbacks. They were your training ground. They were what made you unstoppable. So yes, the journey is hard. It's not going to be easy, but that's the beauty of it. It's through the grind that you'll discover what you're truly made of. It's through the hard work, the persistence, and the refusal to quit that you'll carve out your place in the world. And when you look back, you'll know those hard times were never a waste. They were the foundation of your greatness. Every ounce of effort counts. Every moment of doubt, every failure, every setback, it's all part of the process. You're not just building your dream, you're building yourself. And when you make it to the other side, you'll realize that the grind was worth it because you didn't quit. You didn't give up. You embraced it. And that's what will make you unstoppable. And then, one day, without warning, everything shifts. You've been grinding, giving it your all one small step at a time. There were days when it felt like nothing was changing, like you were walking in circles, doing the work, but seeing no reward. But now, something different happens. It's almost as if the universe acknowledges your dedication and responds in kind. The results, real, tangible results, begin to show. And this time, it's not just about the work you've put in. No, it's deeper than that. It's about the way you hold yourself now, the way you see the world, the way you think about your own potential. The 1% rule didn't just change your output, it changed you. Your mindset has evolved. You're no longer the person who doubts themselves, the person who questions their worth. You've transformed into someone who believes in their abilities, no matter what anyone else says. And just like that, the world starts to notice. People who never saw you before now look at you differently. They start asking questions. How did you do it? What's your secret? They wonder how you went from being just another face in the crowd to someone who commands attention. And you smile. You don't need to say much because you already know the answer. It was the 1% rule. Every small step, every choice you made to push through the pain, the doubt, the exhaustion, led you to this exact moment. It wasn't a single grand leap that brought you here. It was the compound effect of your consistent daily actions. Every drop of sweat, every late night, every time you chose to show up despite the odds, those moments are now paying off. You're not at the top yet, but you're closer than you've ever been. And that feels incredible. The view from where you are is so much clearer now because you've gained the most valuable thing on your journey: perspective. You've learned to appreciate the art of perseverance. You've learned that success isn't about the destination. It's about the resilience to keep going when the road gets tough. And most importantly, you've learned that every small improvement compounds, building into something much bigger than you could ever have imagined. The 1% rule has transformed your life, not because it made everything easy, but because it taught you the power of persistence. It taught you that success is not about the shortcuts, it's about the long, hard road. The moments when you didn't see results were just as important as the ones when you did. Because every action you took, no matter how small, was building the person you needed to become in order to handle the success that was coming. But here's the kicker. This isn't the end. Not by a long shot. The 1% rule doesn't stop at success. It doesn't stop when you reach a milestone. It doesn't stop when people start recognizing you. The 1% rule is a mindset. It's a way of life. It's the realization that no matter where you are on your journey, there's always room for growth. There's always another level to reach. Success isn't a final destination. It's a continuous process. This moment of transformation isn't just about the results you see right now. It's about the mindset you've cultivated for the rest of your life. The 1% rule has become part of your DNA. It's how you approach every challenge, every opportunity, every obstacle. You now understand that greatness isn't handed to you on a silver platter. It's earned day by day through hard work, consistency, and dedication. And the beauty of this is that the journey is just beginning. The person you are today is unrecognizable from the person you were before, because you've embraced the grind and you've let it shape you into someone capable of achieving even more. But the best part? You're not done yet. You're always moving forward, always growing, always finding new ways to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And as you continue down this path, you'll realize that the world wasn't waiting for you to become great. It was waiting for you to believe in the 1% rule, to trust in the power of small, consistent improvements, and to put that belief into action. So when people ask you, how did you do it? You'll smile again, because now you know that the secret wasn't magic and it wasn't luck. It was the daily commitment to be 1% better. And that's a secret you can pass on to anyone who's willing to listen. The results will keep coming, the transformation will keep happening, but most importantly, your journey will never stop. The 1% rule is more than just a principle. It's your way of life. Now, I have one final question for you. What's stopping you from being unstoppable? What is it that holds you back from stepping into your potential, from applying the 1% rule to your life and watching everything change? Because here's the hard truth. The only thing standing in your way right now is you. That's right. It's not the world. It's not your circumstances. It's not the people who doubt you or the obstacles you think are in your path. The only thing holding you back is your own decision. The power to change, to grow, to become unstoppable. It's already inside you. The question is, will you choose to unlock it? Will you choose to show up every single day and get just 1% better? Will you commit to being relentless, to giving everything you have to chase your dreams? The choice is yours, and make no mistake, the stakes are high. The path to greatness is not a straight line, and it's not a walk in the park. If you don't embrace the 1% rule, if you don't take the first step toward becoming relentless, you're gambling with your future. You're risking being forgotten, becoming just another person who had potential but didn't act on it. But here's the flip side. If you rise to the challenge, if you make the decision to keep pushing yourself just a little bit further each day, then you will never be invisible again. The world will see you. You will stand out. You will become a force that others can't ignore. The 1% rule isn't about instant success. It's about becoming someone who can't be overlooked, who can't be ignored. It's about building a life where your actions speak so loudly that your results are undeniable. This is your moment to make the choice. Right now, you're at a crossroads. You have the power to decide whether or not you're going to take the 1% rule seriously. It might sound small, it might sound simple, but don't be fooled. Those tiny, consistent improvements are what separate the dreamers from the doers. The ones who stay stuck from the ones who break free. And the ones who break free, they're unstoppable. So, I ask you again, what's your next 1%? What's the one thing you can do today that will move you just a little bit closer to your goals? It might be getting up 30 minutes earlier, learning something new, or having the courage to take that first step toward a bigger goal. Whatever it is, start now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for life to hand you a sign. Make your own sign. You've already made the choice to be better, to be unstoppable. And now, it's time to prove it to yourself. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and keep being 1% better every day. Your journey is just beginning.